Yo, what's up you guys? It's K8 here, and today we're going to talk about Omnisphere. So I'm showing you guys the box because sometimes when I show you guys plugins, you guys don't believe I buy my plugins. So anywho, yeah, I bought Ominsphere a while back. I've been playing around with it. It's like my favorite library and synth right now. So I consider it a library because it's 55 gigs of sounds that comes with it. So it comes on a little USB drive. It's very thin. It's like a credit card or a license. So it's like, maybe you can't see that, but yeah, it comes on a little USB thing. You plug this in and it just puts 55 gigs of sounds wherever you want it. And it does it really quickly. It's like super fast. So this took like less than an hour to put into my computer and install a license and all that. So really easy install. This library is so huge, but I'm like finding the things I like in it so quickly because, let's say I want a guitar sound. And I browse through these. There's like so many of these. And I find a few that I like. I can just click on one, then sound match it. So it's loading. I can sound match it. So what that means is I found a preset I like, but I want to find more that sounds like it in terms of other attributes or attributes that matches what I found. So it's going to show me now on the sound match more presets like that. So let's just get into the overview then. Let's start talking about some of the features I like. Ominsphere isn't just a library. Like when I load in a patch, we have part A and part B, and if we look on either of those, they're pretty much the same. It's an oscillator modulation section. So like I was saying, I'm not going to do an overview of like what filters are, what envelopes are, but you should know that Ominsphere does have quite a lot of each. So we have an amp envelope, we have a filter, we have mod envelopes, so we have 4 of these. We have like 6 LFOs, we have a lot of modulation, and it's all kind of neatly put into place. So it takes a while to realize like, whoa, there's a lot of things I can do here. So up here in the oscillator section, we have the sample part, which comes from the 55 gig library, and then we have the synth part, which can be classic waveforms, analog, and digital wavetables. So you can see that I even like how this is organized because it's a lot. It just makes sense to, have a Vox section or a sweepers wavetable section. So I like that. That's something I personally like. And within the synth, even if we go to sample, we see that there's like this little section down here. So we can click in here, and we have things like our main view, so we can see what we're doing. On the main view, we can go to FM for frequency modulation. We can go to ring modulation. We can set wave shaper, unison, harmonics, and granular. So the granular is actually pretty well known amongst the Ominsphere 2. I'm not sure if this was in Ominsphere 1, but I have Ominsphere 2, and I know that this is often used, and I've seen a few videos of some other people, putting in their own custom sounds or user sounds into Ominsphere, and then using this to kind of resynthesize it and make it more interesting. So I've seen things of like people hitting coffee mugs and then importing that in through user sound. So you can I think you do user audio. So I'm not very good at explaining that because granular is its own thing and it's kind of different from a lot of things. But this is anytime I use a granular plugin, like I wish is a plugin from Infected Mushroom, like you always get really cool results, and this thing is really in depth and I like what it does. So maybe we'll play around with this in a bit. Let's kind of move on because I want to show you more of the other things I like about this. So when we go to effects, we have more than just effects for A and B and all that. We can put effects on A and B separately. We could put effects on an aux, so that's really useful for creating reverbs that you want to put on both A and B, and then kind of mix in. And there's also comment, which applies to everything on this patch. So we can add more effects down here, so we can see everything from dynamics to EQs to utility imagers. Like there's so much in here. I haven't really even gone through them all, but the ones I've used already sound good, and the effects are like top notch. I forgot to mention the orb, which the orb is its own fucking weird cool thing. Pretty much the orb is a kind of modulator, and you have this little orb thing that you can kind of, depending on how quickly you throw it around, like if I throw it softly and slowly, it will move in that direction. So I'm throwing it very slowly like this, Now if I grab it again and throw it pretty quickly, it's going to move a little bit faster. So depending on what I do, that's how it will react. And of course you have, a randomization of this if you want to do that. And you can record stuff and, do all these kind of options with this. So let's just play this so you can kind of get an idea of what this sounds like. At least I'm guessing it's a modulator of some sorts, and that's a pretty cool feature. I mean, it's not something I've ever used before in other synths, so I'm still finding ways that I can make this useful, but, if not, I just find interesting kind of little bits of inspiration, like, well, that was cool, maybe I'll record that section and do something with that. So that's pretty much the Ominsphere main view. Like I said, I wasn't going to go ahead and explain too much. I wanted to keep it brief. We can kind of look through the library again. So up here on my other computer, I have Trillion and stuff like that. I need to add it over here. So when you go to the top, it shows you your Ominsphere library, Spotlight EDM, which is included in Ominsphere 2. So it's like pretty much a specialized EDM library, which is massive. I don't even know how many gigs that is, but it's massive, I just tell you. So we can go there. So you can actually add more to it, like Trillion. I think there's a few other expansions. I can't remember their names. But yeah, like if I go to the EDM Spotlight section, I can go through categories. So I see things like bells and polysynths and things like that. Bass, I'm sure, is in here, synth bass. Or I could go to type, which now gets a little bit more specific. So now I can see like funk synths, gliding synths, intense noise, lo-fi hits, which is usually why I like to leave it on. I like it to always be on type. I had it on category just because I opened it up. You can go to, let's see, genre. So I don't know what model really does. Sometimes it shows quite a bit of stuff and other times I don't even know. But then genre, we can go into ballad dance, hip hop, dubstep, I'm sure is in here as well. So I always, it's kind of weird because it's like depending on my mood and what I'm trying to find, maybe I can't find it in type, but I know that it's a genre sound, like a hip hop sort of thing. So maybe it's like a hip hop vinyl sort of thing. Maybe I'll find it in here. So before we get off of the overview part of this, where I just explain what everything is, there's also this thing you can do with Ominsphere that it has a live mode. You can have multiple presets going on at once. So right now we're just on one. You probably really need a good computer to start getting into all that. So you can see the mult here. So if I have multiple presets going on and all that stuff, I can mix them here. I can adjust my aux over here. So that's really cool too if you have multiple auxes going. This is where you get into the live aspect of it. So it's kind of like, I guess if you have a pedal, kind of like a guitar pedal sort of thing, maybe you can switch through these live. So that's really cool. I have not tried that out, so I can't tell you if it's good or bad or how reliable that is. The FX is here as well, and then we have stacks. So really, really cool. In system, we can just kind of adjust how much we want the sample memory to be. So on my MacBook Pro, I set this to 0.25 because my RAM isn't as good as it is on this computer, so I limit it and it makes it a little easier to run, and then I bounce stuff down. So on my other computer that isn't so great, I am always bouncing out patches when I'm done or freezing them. And on this computer, which has a lot more power and RAM, I can leave no limit and I can have multiple of Omospheres open and running. Alright, so we spent a lot of time just talking about what Omosphere is and does. I mean, I can go on and on about it, so I don't want to do that. Let's just go ahead and make something with this. So I'll play you this little track here, a little writing session that I'm preparing for next week for you guys, and I'll turn off the Omosphere layer so you can hear just kind of what this sounds like by itself, and yeah. Okay, so I just kind of showed you a little bit of it, and we're going to work mostly in this melody. So this is a repetitive melody. It's like a little writing example. So if you're familiar with my writing sessions videos, you'll know exactly what I'm doing here and what this is for. So I'm also using this session not only as a writing session, but also as a a sound design session, a way to kind of just fool around with new patches I can make and just to try out Ominsphere. So I have a pretty awesome collection of sounds here. They're a bit bright, so maybe that's why I wanted to see if I can find something in Ominsphere that can tone it down or replace these three. Because these are just like Spire and Silent layers combined. And it's a bit bright, a bit, a little harsh, so I feel that. It's only because the MIDI I'm using is so high. Like in other instances, I wrote the melody on a lower octave and it sounded so much better. So, I was really pushing it into a different octave. So let's go into Sound Match, and we're going to tweak the synth part. We're going to make adjustments. We're not going to just use a preset, like find a preset and use it. So let's kind of listen and see what we find. So actually I found a new preset while I was trying to find the preset that I originally started with on this view, and it has a bit too much glide, but I really like the characteristics of it. So let's start there. Let's take the glide down and let's see how that plays. Okay, so that sounds different and weird, and maybe it's not even that usable, but that's kind of what I like about Ominsphere. It's a synth and a library that you get different results and different things from, and there's so much to explore within it, so much to customize within it, so many things you could tweak, a lot of effects to throw at it. We didn't even really throw effects at this, and so, maybe it's not usable, but it's definitely powerful and can give you unexpected results. So, thanks guys for watching, and of course, late.